Welcome back to another edition of Tux Traveler. Well, I'm up here in this wonderful free camp spot again. I can stay here for 2 whole weeks. I'm not going to. It's just starting to get a little bit too cold, and there's some other places I would like to move on to. But for now, I have really good high-speed internet. I haven't seen a human being in about 24 hours. And this place is very quiet, very nice. And I understand there's either petroglyphs or dinosaur tracks down that way, not too far away. And what we want to do today is I want to talk about where you can find free campsites like this, because in reality, as I would go out in the past and do some camping with some people before, and I didn't even know these resources were available. So whether you're just traveling somewhere and looking for a good, safe place to park overnight en route, or you're actually looking for a fun camping experience, I want to talk a little bit about that, the caveats and things like that. So the first question we are doing is, are you looking for a campsite or a place to freely park? If you're just kind of passing through, looking for a place to freely park, obviously there's rest centers, there's welcome centers, and the biggest one to look for is Walmart parking lots. Now, here's what happened with the Walmart parking lots. Walmart generally doesn't care if people overnight a night or two in their parking lots. They don't want you like living or camping there as much, so don't make it seriously obvious that you're just kind of there chilling. But what has happened is, with a lot of people losing their jobs and moving into vehicles, many municipalities have passed laws that will say you're not allowed to sleep in your vehicle, which is kind of ridiculous, but that's kind of what had happened. And then this is what happened where many Walmarts started not allowing by the law people to stay overnight. Now, that being said, actually, many of the Walmarts, they're not going to enforce it. The police aren't going to be patrolling Walmart parking lots because it's technically private property. So the only time that's ever going to be a problem is if you're causing a problem. So usually, and you should check with the Walmart, but usually you can park overnight in many Walmart parking lots. Now in my home base town, which is State College, there's 2 Walmarts. One of them absolutely openly allows RV parking. Huge football game weekends, you'll go up there and see lots of RVs. The other one is kind of in the middle of city center, and for that reason you are not allowed to park overnight there. So you do need to have a look at it, see what the signs say, and even maybe talk to the manager to make sure. That's just kind of if you're passing on through. Now, let's talk about the other thing you can do. Well, there's paid campgrounds that are cheap. We'll go ahead and talk about those real quickly here. Depending on where you are, so I camped about a month ago at Dinosaur, and in Dinosaur, on season, they're like $40 a night, but they are really nice places, and they have electric, and they have running water, and they have, flush toilets, things like that. Off season, it's still a nice campground at $6 a night. And so if you're looking for something cheap, looking in some of the national parks and national monuments off season is usually a good place where you can find good campsites. Now, where we're at here is what is called BLM land. No, not Black Lives Matter, Bureau of Land Management. These are federal lands. You don't find nearly as much of this, if any at all, in the east, but in the west, large portions of many states are like this. Utah, Arizona, Nevada, portions of California. These are BLM lands, and you are allowed to park on BLM land and stay in camp for up to 2 weeks straight. So I just sent, a couple weeks back, I just spent 2 weeks in northern Utah. I had one camp spot, and I left occasionally, but I just kept coming back to that one spot, and it was just a wonderful place to live for 2 weeks. And it was wonderful and quiet, and there were some other campers out there, and so I met some people, had a good time, saw all the sights around there, and that's kind of the type of thing that you see out there. Is there's just so many different places like this, and there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of camps like this. Now, here's the caveat to Black Lives Matter BLM lands, is your BLM lands, they are pack-in usually they are pack in, pack out. Now, the place I stayed for 2 weeks was at the intersection of very popular bike trails. So there were actually pit toilets. There were like 4 or 5 of them in the grounds. That's a really cool luxury. Yes, a pit toilet is indeed a luxury, because usually when you are camping on BLM lands, you are required to have with you a way to handle human waste. Now, what does that mean? Does this mean you have to have a whole bathroom? No. A very good thing you can do is go over to like Walmart. You can buy a 5-gallon bucket. I know you can buy the 5-gallon buckets at Home Depot or Lowe's. I'm not sure if Walmart sells them specifically, but Walmart will sell a lid for it. It's basically a toilet seat for the top of a 5-gallon bucket. You get 3 to 5-gallon garbage bags. You put those in there. That is a qualified toilet for camping on BLM lands. So you just pack out all your waste. Now, this place where I'm at now, we actually do have a toilet about half a mile, 3/4 of a mile down the way down there. When I'm staying at a place with 3/4 of a mile walk to a pit toilet, I'll use it. I don't mind. But I have the perfect capabilities of finding campgrounds in the middle of absolutely nowhere and living on them for several days straight without any problem. So we're going to talk about where and how you can find these. Also, we have to understand, if you've found my channel anywhere other than my main tech channel, you also have to know I am a privacy guru. So I'm not going to push and recommend apps that are completely tied into requiring accounts and giving up everything about you. They exist and some of them are good, but there's actually 2 really amazing sources you can use without giving up private data. The first one of these is freecampsites.net. This does allow some login capabilities, and if you're using it a lot, please disable your ad blocker. They're not intrusive with their ads. Just allow them. They do a great free service. Allow them to pick up a little bit of ad revenue. And if you do log in there and leave some reviews, and I've been debating about doing that just because I would love to review many of the campsites they have sent me to. That is called freecampsites.net. There is not an app associated with it, but it works very well on a mobile device. So if you just happen to grab your phone here, and usually I use freecampsites.net when I'm in the van actually planning my routes. But what we're going to do here is we're going to go to freecampsites.net, and when you land on the page, you are greeted with an enter a location option. You won't be able to see any of that probably because of the lighting. Just go ahead and enter a location. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick, we'll go ahead and pick Moab, Utah. I'm nowhere near there right now. It's just the first city that popped in my mind. Where if you go in there and you type in Moab, Utah. All right, so then what I'm looking at now is once I type in that information, is it gives me a map and all of the basic roads. It shows me the city has a star so I can see how far away. And then I can go ahead and click on any one of the items, and it's going to show me free campsites in green, paid campsites in red, permit required campsites in blue, and anything they're still researching or they need more data on is going to be yellow. So you can go ahead and zoom in there and click on something, and then when you click on it, it gives you a basic information. So this is Gemini Bridges. There's between 1 and 5 campsites clustered together. And go ahead and hit the button there, and it's going to give you more information. So when I land on this page, it gives me GPS coordinates, which is amazing. Set your GPS to use the type of coordinates they're giving you. Plug it in. That's usually taking you to either the entrance road or the spot where the campsites are. So that is something that does not require an app or anything else, which is very useful in the case of a privacy guy who doesn't want to use apps and things like that. That being said, there are a couple of apps we can look at. So let's have a look at a few of these. Now, one of my phones is a security hardened using EOS. This has what's called the micro G apps to mimic Google services without actually being Google services. On this particular phone, because their app store ties in and allows you to download apps that are not necessarily open source, and I did not find any pure open source applications, just proprietary ones, but I did not have to grab any of them from the Google Play Store either. One of these is called AllTrails. I found that AllTrails is not really, it's not really my favorite. It's sometimes slow to work, and it is functional, and it gives you more than just campsite. It also gives you bike trails and things to do. They do prompt you to either log in with Google or Facebook or create a free account. You can log in, or you can just click the X in the upper corner and you can use the site for free. Usually, unfortunately, I find that it's extremely slow and I just sit with nothing but gray screens with nothing. So I'd recommend probably not using AllTrails. Who knows, maybe it works beautiful on your phones that have full integration Google services, but I can barely get the thing to work. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I also, though, found that AllTrails does require full Google services to work. So when I installed it on my phone without any Google services, it said, can't load any of those sites, required to have it, so I uninstalled it. There is one which is from the government. This might be frightening, who knows, but it's called recreation.gov. Available on the Google Play Store. Does not require your Google Play services, and you can install it through the Aurora store. So I have installed it here, and you can create an account with it, but they don't push it, they don't force it on you. You just go ahead and enter in your individual location, and like AllTrails, this thing is going to give you campsites, biking trails, hiking trails, and things to do in the areas. So I typed in Moab, it gives me Arches National Park tours, Sand Flats Recreation Area, Gooseland group campsites, Moonflower campsites. There's a lot of stuff in there. That one is available without any Google Play services, and it does work very well. You can sort by type of campsites, types of services, and things like that. Now, the one I'm going to recommend the most for application-wise is called the DYRT, D-Y-R-T. DYRT, you can create an account. You can pay for more premium services. The premium services gives you offline maps and basically the ability to track down where you want to go, save a lot of options. So you come in here, they do give you some pop-ups here. It's not pop-ups, so it's on the homepage about unlocking the various pros, so you can plan a trip with it. You can explore dispersed camping, public land, save up to 40% on paid campgrounds, be prepared when cell service drops, and save basically some coupon codes for some outdoor brands. So it might be worth it. I think it's like $15 or something. There's customized camping recommendations based on your location data, stuff a privacy guy like me does not like, so I'm not likely to use that, but this application does work very well with location services. Very front, you load up the app, no big prompts to log in. You just push the button that says, where would you like to camp? You have an option for near me. If you have your GPS enabled on your phone, you can go ahead and do that. And this is one of the applications I am allowing my GPS to access, but I do have to manually turn on my GPS. And then it's going to give you your recents. It's going to give you some recommended things. I'm not sure how it's curating the recommendeds, but I'll go ahead and search for something. So let's search for Kanab, Utah was somewhere I was a few weeks ago. So that's still in my history. Pull that up, and I have a very nice map, and I have a list of all the campsites. Now, by default, it's not giving you just the free campsites. You can go in and you can set it to do that, but it doesn't have that automatically. If you click in on an individual campsite, it will tell you really quick there if it's paid or if it's not paid. All right, so this one's just giving me what this one campground is. It gives me, there's 9 reviews that people have left. It's a 5-star review on a nice dispersed place. It tells me I can use tents there, I can use RVs there. And then they'll give you, this one will tell you, here's East Zion Park, which is $35 a night. So there's a few different options it gives you. And then when you scroll into here, You can see the general contact information if there's a website. These will also tell you though how is the internet. Now they just give me they're giving me Verizon says it's fair, AT&T says it's good, T-Mobile just says it's available. Freecampsites.net does the same thing as well. It tells you the type of campsites: tent, RV, dispersed, standard, group, cabin, and tents. It tells you this one here has Wi-Fi available. It has drinking water available. It has fires are allowed. There is a store on place. There is dump. There's sewer hookups. There's water hookups. That's why it's $35 a night. And then it has probably 4.5 out of 5-star reviews. So pretty good. So those are the applications you're going to use. So as I'm traveling around and I know about where I'm going to be, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up my my maps. If I'm just planning my trip, I'm going to use freecampsites.net on the computer. So much easier to navigate. If I'm kind of on the road, I'm like, where am I going to go? Or I have a quick plan change, I switch to the Dirt. And I put it on a couple different devices. This phone actually has cell service. This phone is Wi-Fi only. This is just a backup emergency phone. So, but it did use it to test out a couple of different options. So again, in brief summary, if you're going to be doing a lot of offline things and planning things out in advance, it's worth paying the premium subscription for the Dirt because you get offline maps and you get the ability to plan trips and routes. Since I don't do that as much and I usually go into things with a better plan, I don't use the premium service, but I love the app itself and I use freecampsites.net as well. So that is a good thing. And then, of course, if you're camping on BLM ground like this, make sure you have all of the required waste disposals and carry on board options that you have. So you got to get yourself that bucket if you're planning on being out here. If you don't have like a cassette or composting or any other type of system built in, so make sure that you have those different options there for you. And if you're just passing through, check out Walmart's or check out freecampsites.net. They will list Walmart parking lots. The Dirt, I don't think, does. But freecampsites.net does list on Walmart parking lots. It will list welcome centers, many welcome centers. You can stay overnight. Some of them are posted as such. There was one welcome center I stayed at 2 nights. Like, hey, up to 10 hours, you can park here. Other places, I've seen many Walmarts that have signs literally saying parking 1 night available, so you can go in there and they're not going to hassle you for parking 1 night as you're passing through town, or maybe you land there, you're planning on doing something the next day in town. That is very common. So that is how you can find free campsites. And then, hey, you can enjoy scenery like this and not see humans for a while. And excellent options. So definitely have a look at those different sites. Again, these are all de-Googled phones. I can access those through the Aurora store on a standard Lineage with no Google services at all. And on EOS, I used just whatever their integrated app store is. That who knows what it is, but it works. So anyway, there is my thoughts, my take on these individual places to go, how to find free sites, and a little bit of other tips and tricks that you have. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you guys a little bit further down the road here on Tux Traveler.